Step into the unknown with Shadows of Curiosity, a podcast that ventures into fringe topics, unexplained phenomena, and the mysteries that live just beyond the edges of everyday understanding. Each episode peels back the layers of the strange and the hidden, inviting you to question, wonder, and explore. Have a story to share? Email shadowsofcuriosity@protonmail.com.
Okay, and now to our number one trending story on cbsmiami.com.
It involves talk of alien sightings at Bayside Marketplace. On New Year's Day, there was a massive police response in downtown Miami. More than 50 young people armed with sticks began fighting. Police say juveniles were also setting off fireworks, causing chaos.
So now people are posting online saying that police weren't there to handle a group of rowdy teens, but rather 8 to 10 feet tall, shadowy aliens. Conspiracy theories are saying a big creature could be seen standing in front of the entrance to the shopping area, Bayside. Today, the phrases Miami Mall and aliens of Miami have been among the top 10 searches on Twitter's trending tab. Twitter, of course, now called X. And Google News even has several reports questioning the event.
So we reached out to the Miami Police Department. They issued a statement saying in part, quote, "There were no aliens, UFOs, or ETs. No airports were closed, no power outages." Facepalm emoji was included in the statement. And to read up on the story that has gone viral, just head to our website at cbsmiami.com.
Read all you want, but remember, no aliens.
Location: Miami, Florida. Date: January 1st, 2024. Time: right after New Year. This is a summary of researcher Alexander Perez of his investigations on the alleged Miami Bayside Shopping Center events right around New Year's of 2024. Official reports labeled it a simple teenage situation or riot, but this version of events has been clouded by various claims and anomalies that demand closer scrutiny. When Para visited Bayside, he spoke with several workers who had been present during the incident. While some were reluctant to speak, a few revealed their feelings that something was off that day. They reported poor phone reception, an odd and uneasy atmosphere, and expressed confusion over the excessive police presence, which far exceeded what one might expect for a minor disturbance. These testimonies suggested there was more happening than the official narrative revealed. As his investigations progressed, he found additional, more unconventional reports on social media, particularly TikTok. A few users claiming to have been at Bayside during the event described witnessing extraordinary phenomena. Notably, an African-American TikTok user stated he had been inside the Foot Locker store at the time. He claimed to have witnessed something extraordinary. An unusual portal opened up, and through it came tall, translucent humanoid creatures with what appeared to be some form of camouflage. While this account is difficult to verify, it gained significant traction online. Its otherworldly nature had led some to dismiss it as sensationalist or fictional, but the absence of any official footage from the incident leaves room for speculation. Adding to the mystery is the fact that to this day, no official footage has been released, not from the police, nor from the surveillance cameras scattered throughout the marketplace. This is highly unusual, especially given that such a public space is typically monitored for security reasons. Compounding this, the Miami Police Department made a peculiar official statement on Instagram shortly after the incident. While the content of this statement was vague, its cryptic tone and lack of concrete details only fueled further questions. The combination of the police's excessive response, the absence of video evidence, and the odd nature of their public statement has led many to wonder whether something more significant occurred that night. In the wake of the incident, conspiracy theorists have also jumped into the discussion. One of the more curious claims centers around the coordinates of Bayside Marketplace. According to these theorists, when the coordinates of this marketplace are reversed and entered into Google Maps, the results point to a location near Antarctica. This is notable because Antarctica has long been a focal point in conspiracy circles, often linked to mysterious government experiments, hidden civilizations, and extraterrestrial theories. While this claim may seem far-fetched, it has gained traction among those who believe that the Bayside incident is part of a larger, more secretive narrative involving covert operations or extraterrestrial activity. The coincidence of the reversed coordinates aligning with a location near Antarctica, a hotspot for conspiracy theories, has added another layer of intrigue to an already puzzling event. Para concludes that the Bayside Marketplace incident, originally described as a minor riot involving teenagers, has since become the subject of numerous speculations and unresolved mysteries. Witness accounts, including those shared on TikTok, describe phenomena far beyond the scope of what the official reports would suggest. The lack of video evidence, the odd police response, and cryptic statements by law enforcement further add to the sense that something more may have occurred. Though much of the more outlandish speculation remains unproven, the inconsistencies between the official version and the testimonies gathered raise significant questions. Was the incident truly a simple altercation, or did something more extraordinary happen beneath the surface? The mystery remains, with new pieces of the puzzle emerging online and in conversations with those who were there. For now, the Bayside incident continues to occupy a strange space between official silence, witness confusion, and internet-fueled intrigue, one that may never be fully resolved. Location: Coppice Green, Warrington, Manchester, England. Date: January 2nd, 2024. Time: night. The witness, Tony Pendlebury, and his daughter were driving slow over some speed bumps on the road surface at about 10 miles per hour. The area is inhabited by large ducks and a pond is adjacent to the road. Suddenly, crossing the road ahead of them, some kind of life form described as dark gray in color, measuring about 10 to 14 feet in height and triangular in shape. It suddenly stopped for a moment apparently when it noticed their headlights. It then continued at high speed towards the left side of the road. No sound or eyes were present. According to the witness, if he could describe a similar earth creature, it would be a black, triangular-shaped octopus. It seemed to glide at stealth speed past them. They both saw the same thing. The witness is 64 years old of sound health and well-being, including having perfect vision. His daughter, who also witnessed the event, is a health practitioner and fitness trainer with great sight also. According to Pendlebury, nothing on this earth could match the speed of this entity. It wasn't a shadow or a paper bag blowing in the wind. Interestingly, there was a helicopter flying above nearby in a search mode, but he can't say for sure this was all linked. Location: Santos, Sao Paulo, Brazil. January 3rd, 2024. Time: evening. The witness, Vinicius Rodriguez, had woken up with a loud buzzing in his ear and a headache. Luckily, he was off from work that day. He took a Dorflex muscle relaxer pill, but ended up throwing up the medicine along with a yellow liquid, possibly bile. It was a very strange day. He'd thought he would go deaf from the humming. He had a glass of milk, as he couldn't eat anything. He visited the rhinolaryngitis doctor with his girlfriend that afternoon. The doctor examined his ear, and Rodriguez spent all afternoon at the clinic, and according to the doctor, Rodriguez's ears were in perfect condition. He got home in the evening, ate some soup, and lay down to watch some television. Suddenly, he was overcome with an unbearable desire to sleep. He fell asleep and soon woke up in a very different place that he had ever been in his life. He was apparently inside a ship with deep black walls, a silver floor, and a panel with lots of buttons. There were some white seats near the panel with odd shapes. He walked around the spacious room until he found a woman of incomparable beauty. She wore a long white dress, had long blonde hair and blue eyes, and was adorned with a crown of diamond-like gems. He watched her apparently manipulating energy fields in the air. Telepathically, she communicated directly to Rodriguez's mind. "We were waiting for you. Come and follow me." Rodriguez followed her through a large room where there were many gray cupboards, reminiscent of those found in teachers' rooms in schools on Earth. She touched a wall that opened up, and they went into another room. This room was completely black, and it possessed a gigantic, very modern-looking screen displaying images of galaxies that were different from those displayed by NASA on Earth. In that room, there were two men, a young man standing near the screen and another older man holding a kind of tablet. The woman introduced them, saying, "This is my spouse and our son." The older man just smiled as she continued, "My son will explain something important to you. Focus, we are both going to retire." After touching the wall, she left with her husband. The young man then informed Rodriguez, also by telepathy, Gaia's Adamic is aware that the planet Earth will undergo transformations never seen before, genetic modifications of its human inhabitants, alterations and mutations in nature and animals. Focus your attention on the display component. Rodriguez looked at the screen, and a galaxy of strange colors appeared, moving close and closer until planet Earth became visible. A round white sphere enveloped a bright aura. Delving into the interior of the planet, Rodriguez saw futuristic cities, flying vehicles, and leafy trees in shades of purple, lilac, orange, and other colors that were unknown to him. The sea of green waters added charm to the landscape, and huge buildings composed of something crystal or glass stood majestically. He didn't see any people or animals. It was probably a vision of the future of Earth. The young man also told Rodriguez that he was from a planet called Arso, or something similar. He showed Rodriguez the planet on the screen in what we call the Pleiades constellation. It was a white hyperplanet, very illuminated. The young man concluded, "We will overcome the darkness. Gaia Earth will be like what you saw. These are instructions from the Master, who was already incarnated in Gaia. This is what rules all the planets and all the galaxies in these multiple universes." The young man then approached Rodriguez and manipulated energy fields and created a blue hole on the floor. Without warning, he pushed Rodriguez into the hole, and suddenly, Rodriguez was startled to find himself on his bed. The time was 1:04 a.m. Rodriguez states that he has never experienced anything like this before. Location: Alfalfa, near Bend, Oregon. Date: January 1st, 2024. Time: 23:18. The witness reports that on the above evening, she was visited by 3 non-human visitors. Her husband had been in bed for a couple of hours. At 11:18 p.m., she climbed into bed herself. She knows the precise time because she glanced at the clock like she always does. She did not have time to fall asleep. She was wide awake when it all began. Just as her head settled on the pillow, she became aware of 3 small grays standing next to her. They were silhouetted against a faint light from her living room. She could not see their features, but knew from their height and shape they must have been small grays. The grays started grasping her hands and arms, trying to make her get out of bed. They did not speak, but she felt them in her head, urging her to go with them. They were pulling her toward the walk-in closet 4 feet away. She refused to get out of bed. She began kicking and lashing out with her hands. She pried their hands off her arms, pushing them away. At one point, she reached behind her to shake and pat her dog. She was trying to wake him up so he would start barking at the grays, but he would not wake up. She couldn't understand why her dog was just lying there, unresponsive. He had just hopped onto the bed at the same time she laid down, so he should have still been awake. She also patted her husband on his hip several times, but he only muttered in his sleep. He wouldn't wake up either. She kept fighting with the grays. She deliberately projected a strong, emphatic mental message saying, "I don't want to go with you. Leave me alone. Go away now." After projecting this 3 times, the grays pulled back, turned away, and went into the closet. A bright light flared briefly in the closet. The light went out. She could sense the grays were gone and her dog woke up. The dog was shaking with fear and snuggled close. Her husband did not wake but settled down into a normal sleep. She immediately got out of bed. She looked at the clock. It was 11:20 p.m. The entire event took just 2 minutes. On this occasion, as she normally did, when she got into bed at 11:18 p.m., she slipped her feet out of her slippers and left them next to the bed so she could slip back into them easily in the dark. This time, when she got out of bed after the grays left, she could not find her slippers. She grabbed her aviator's flashlight and turned it on. One slipper was in the doorway of the closet. The other was 3 feet away from where she had left them. The dog had already been on the bed before she laid down, and he was catatonic during the event, so she knew he had not moved them. Location: Ohio. Exact location not given. Date: January 16th, 2024. Time: 3:20 a.m. The witness and his girlfriend were sleeping on the couch, and he was dozing off lightly. A feeling or voice told him to wake up, and it frightened him. It was 3:20 a.m., and he got up and looked around, and behind the couch in the kitchen, he saw what looked like a projection on the wall and entities inside the projection. He closed and opened his eyes to make sure that what he was seeing was real, and saw about 15 to 30 of what looked like to be different species. It looked like he was looking through a window or video chatting in the wall. He saw 2 shiny, slightly invisible beings that you couldn't see physically but were almost there. They looked scaly, and these 2 looked like they were actually inside the object unlike the rest. He then saw a hooded being that was very short with a wrinkled face. He also saw what looked like humanoid beings with blonde hair, very tall, taller than the others. It seemed like they were watching the witness for a long time. He woke up his girlfriend to show her, and she couldn't see at first, but he took a few pictures, and what looked like small orbs appeared in some of the photos. This went on until about 6:30 a.m. He never heard anything. He was frightened, but also had a slight sense of calm while this was happening. Location: Angol, Chile. Date: January 18th, 2024. Time: 20:45. The witness, RAGT, a 39-year-old student and civil engineer, was taking his usual evening walk. He was wearing his earphones listening to music, and as he crossed the O'Higgins Bridge, he took Ilabaka Street, which had a slight incline. As he neared the bus terminal at Ranzel, he saw something unusual. From the area of the Primer Angol Hospital, which is currently abandoned, in between the perimeter fence and the grounds of the hospital, he spotted a strange figure moving towards the right. As he was not wearing his glasses at the time, he didn't see many details. The figure seemed to be wearing some type of gray suit, and what appeared to be a turban on the head. The strange figure was about 15 to 20 meters from the witness, and he hurried to obtain a better look at the figure before it disappeared behind some trees. However, when he arrived at the location where he had last seen the figure, it had inexplicably vanished. There wasn't anybody else around, and there was nowhere for the figure to have gone. He stayed around looking for any clues or marks on the ground, but didn't see anything. According to the witness, the grounds of the abandoned hospital have been the scene of similar encounters and other unexplained events. Location: Central Florida. Exact location not given. Date: January 23rd, 2024. Time: 5 a.m. A brother and sister were in his car, and directly in front of them is mostly just a large lot that is well-kept grass and one shed. In the middle of the lot, his sister noticed this girl with strawberry blonde hair. They could only see the back of her, but they noticed that her feet weren't touching the ground. They were confused. The brother was looking for a light source because it was as if she were standing underneath a street light. She had what he described as a glow around her. She was no more than 50 yards away. The brother, the driver, put his high beams on and the girl didn't flinch. At this point, his brain was doing mental gymnastics. What or who is this? That's when they saw it. The figure was what is referred to as a shadow being, because it tried to appear as a person, but it wasn't. Its back was kind of hunched, it took long strides and short strides that didn't make sense. It tried to hide behind a pole, peeking its head very so often out. This shadow being was all black. He had never seen anything like it before. No distinguishable features, only black. It was bipedal. The witness's brain couldn't comprehend what he was seeing, and he didn't even think of recording it. The witnesses watched this for about 3 to 5 minutes. They were in their parked car, getting ready to leave for work. They said a prayer, and his sister watched as he backed out. The girl never moved. As far as he knows, the shadow being didn't follow them. They were both extremely scared. Location: near Hobart, Oklahoma. Date: January 25th, 2024. Time: 1700. Driving west out of Hobart on Highway 9, approximately 3 miles west of Hobart, the witness looked on the north side of the road and noticed this reddish-brown crumpled mass on the ground. At first, he thought it was a cow, but it was a new, bright green field of wheat with no cattle on it. Also, the color was not right, and he could see the crumpled angles on it. Then he noticed several feet to the west of the mass, a figure standing there. It looked like a pillar, without shoulders or arms. He could not see legs either. The head was white to just below where the neck should end, and then the rest of it was pitch black. He could not see eyes, neck, arms, nor legs. The black went all the way to the ground. The witness had slowed down significantly to look at this, and traffic was slowing down behind him as well as the oncoming traffic. He noticed a small black car in the oncoming lane had slowed, and the driver was looking at the entity as well. The witness, who admits was freaked out, did not stop and drove on. Location: Mexico City, Mexico. Date: January 27th, 2024. Time: night. A husband and wife were sleeping when something woke the wife up. It was dark and she felt watched. She immediately turned to the right corner of the room, where their bathroom is located, and saw a silhouette of someone who seemed to be leaning out of the bathroom, watching her closely. She was still a little awake, but when she saw it, her blood froze, and she froze with the fear that she felt. Her husband seemed to be sound asleep next to her. It must have been only a few seconds after that, when the thing came out of the bathroom and now fully revealed itself. It was thin, dwarf-like, with a head disproportionate to its body. It had huge, deep black eyes, and its expression was completely emotionless, almost as it were an android or something completely soulless. The terror that she felt at the sight of the creature was unparalleled. Plus, as it came out the bathroom, it began to approach her in a very strange manner, as if it were trying to be stealthy, slow, or careful in its movements. Her husband and the witness are both Christians, so she opted to do the only thing she could think of, and that was to close her eyes and pray to God, rebuke it in the name of Christ. That's what she did, and to her surprise it worked, because when she opened her eyes, there didn't seem to be anything in the room. Although she didn't have the guts to check the bathroom, but she remained awake for quite a while praying until she fell asleep again. She never woke up her husband, and she didn't tell him what happened the day after. There was something else in the room besides the creature or alien. It was a black, weirdly shaped silhouette thing floating right next to the small creature. She doesn't know what it was, but it almost looked like some kind of really dark, unstable, gaseous mass. According to the witness, 4 other witnesses saw a UFO right outside their home the very next day. After that happened, she told her husband.